In case you missed it, yesterday being Wednesday, we recording this on Thursday afternoon / evening. Mark Few may have popped up on your social media feeds, on your news reports, on various, however you consume media. You may or may not have seen Mark Few not wearing a tie, which I thought was a power move, that he's going to Capitol Hill with no tie on. He says, I don't wear a tie when I'm coaching in the national championship. When I'm getting my brains beaten in the national championship, I'm sure as hell not going to wear a tie in front of you clods. So, no, not happening. But Mark Few goes and has become, maybe this is the discussion we should start with. Mark Few is becoming the voice of college basketball, and this is interesting. In a vacuum, I think we should spend a little time talking about this. But when you also pair this with Gonzaga is now landing top recruits in the country, Jalen Suggs and then Chet Holmgren, which they've been landing awesome recruits forever, but now all of a sudden they are the recruiting powerhouse, Tate. Coach K is retiring. We'll spend a little time talking about that, by the way. We got to carve out a solid 45 minutes to pay K his respects. We have not done
every
that yet.
single episode.
As all this is happening, we have joked, maybe not joked, maybe it's getting more and more serious that Gonzaga might be the new Duke. Suddenly you look up, Mark Few is becoming the voice of college basketball.
Yes.
Is this the moment in time that has happened, that Mark Few is officially, the Gonzaga Bulldogs and Mark Few are officially the new Duke without having won a single national championship?
Yes.
It feels like it happened.
It was a very, very interesting situation because when I first heard that Mark Few was going to, have this conversation, go and report on his findings at Gonzaga, I was a little bit, when I heard it was Mark Few, I thought, well, maybe the NCAA is bringing Mark Few, or they want Mark Few because he's going to side
be on
with
their side. Yeah,
exactly.
That is interesting about Mark Few is that he's
taking on the NCAA as, he is the little guy, right? You are literally Cleveland State in the Jerry Tarkanian conversation.
Yes.
You're not a blue blood, but also now you are a blue blood because
blood.
you are now having the voice.
But Mark Few as a human being, not as the representative of Gonzaga, just himself. I kind of don't know where he falls, like politically or anything else. Like he's
we
a
know
bit
he
of a
loves
wild
fly
card.
fishing and he loves pickleball.
He's a big fly fisherman in Eastern Washington, so that kind of like paints a stereotype. So like I think he thought like he was going to go up there and be like, in fact, I think we should take more rights away from players. And he does the opposite. And I think like everyone.
That was the thing in the back of my, when he first started his comments, I was like, is Mark Few just going to come out here and just ride hard for the NCAA? But luckily, and pretty much the entire process of this has been reprimanding Mark Emmert. It was scolding. I think that's the best word to use. It was a scolding of the NCAA. And the whole time that they were getting scolded, Mark Emmert's getting scolded, they look to be shocked by it. You know what I mean? They look to be like, this is not part of the script. What are you guys talking about up there? This is what we do. This is us. This is how we've always done
Mark
things.
Emmert was turning to Congress to help him. Like Mark Emmert was, as everyone's attacking him, he's like, yes, I understand. Like but you guys, I need help figuring out how, I want to fix this. I'm on your side. How do I fix Congress? Can you please help me fix this? And Congress is like, why? Why do we have to help? Why can you not fit? That is the situation we found ourselves in. And if you're asking yourself why now, why? First of all, this has been a conversation for God knows how many years at this point. It is the story that will never end. But the impetus behind the Senate hearing now, Tate, is that my understanding is that on July 1st, various states around this country have enacted some sort of legislation that
19 states,
that players can make, but the state laws will be that.
We remember Gavin Newsom. He went on the shop. He signed.
Funny enough,
California
Mark Few told Gavin Newsom back then, "Stay in your lane. Like, shut the hell up, bitch." Like, I think that was his.
I think that was the quote. That came out.
No, Mark Few didn't love that Gavin Newsom was doing this. So that's what I mean. That's why he's a wild card.
Yes.
But I think like in retrospect, he was saying that because he was like, this isn't a states' rights issue. Like, we don't need the more. And this is exactly the problem. And maybe this is why Mark Few. He swerved Mark Emmert because what Mark Few was saying is that it's a disastrous system to have a system where the schools in California the players can make money off their name, whereas the schools in say like Tennessee can't, but the schools in Indiana can and the schools in Nebraska can't. Like, that's a disaster. So what we need is so Gavin Newsom, shut up, go sit down, do something else with your time. Let's figure it out like a national
NIL bill,
sweeping bill, whether it's Congress or the NCAA. And Mark Emmert said it's definitely going to have to be Congress because it's not going to be me. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and and even at times when he was getting, poked about the fact that the NCAA is making he wants to have, basically he wants to put stopgaps on how much money you can make as athletes, right? So that's one layer of this. Also, he kept reiterating that they want a national NIL law. That was what he kept saying. But the reason he's saying that is because all the state versions of this, some of them are more sweeping than other ones, and he wants a very succinct, this is what it is, this is how it looks like, and also it's capped. And so in California it's not. So like Connecticut, I don't think it is either. So there's certain states where it's a little bit different. They said that they want to keep college athletes from being employees of their schools. That is one of the big things that he was trying to hammer home. And he wants to provide limited antitrust protection from future litigation. So this is what.
And don't forget Title IX. He wants to preserve Title IX because that's important. You got to throw that in there because Title IX has become the First Amendment of college sports debates where. No one seems to have any idea what it actually is. Like, the bullet point, which is like women and men must have equal opportunities.
Yes.
But then the application of it, no one has any idea. But that you can just like throw it out there and say
it's a good look.
This is a violation of Title IX, or like this is not a
Yes.
And then it shuts everything down. Like someone could like tweet at us and be like, your podcast violates Title IX. And I would like freeze and be like,
I think he's right.
Does it? I'll start Googling. I'll be like, I don't think I know. What,
no, I mean, that
so
is
Mark
it.
Emmert's like, we must protect Title IX. And everyone's like, I think we would. I think
we definitely would. But Mark, what are your intentions? Because that was the other part. Whenever, any sort of senator, like Cory Booker is the one who's leading, the national NIL bill. He's the one that's putting it on the floor. So when any of these other senators were coming at Mark Emmert, asking questions about why they didn't do this or that, he basically said, well, that's not my decision. That's the Board of Governors. And I love the idea of the NCAA. Like, the NCAA is always this ominous present that, the omnipresent situation where you like point to it and you blame it. You're like the NCAA. But the NCAA is made up of people that are, working for the university. We've said this multiple times. But I love that within the NCAA, they even have someone to blame. You know what I mean?
Mark Emmert.
Mark Emmert's like, no, he's like, I got the Board of Governors. Everyone has someone else to blame. There's always a different party to blame.
I'm going to make a big time swerve here and say that Mark Emmert is unbelievable at his job.
Yes.
And the fact that the public hates this man so much means that he's doing exactly what
it's Roger Goodell. It's Roger Goodell. Like, the reason the NFL owners love Goodell is because they're like, people hate you, great. Now we do whatever we want.
Goodell is amazing at his job too.
Take all the hate. Make $40 million a year. Get hated on. We'll do what we want over here.
It is true. Those two guys get killed all the time as like two of the worst leaders, and like the institutions they're running. Are like
deserve all the blame.
Well, not even that. They're just like two institutions that are like undeniable in this country, in the world of
in
sports. Like those are, makes you think.
It's funny how it works.
So this was not. We should issue a correction because I think at the top we said that this was. They were speaking to the Senate. This was a Senate committee, right? This was not like you did not have the full attention of 100 senators.
Of everyone sitting around, all of our 100 senators looking at Mark Emmert
and just scolding
in the
Senate
him,
chamber,
and just saying you're bad.
And
you're wrong. That's it. And there's like probably 40 of them over there. Like, Mark. Thumbs up. Good job, buddy.
So what is going to come of this, I guess, would be a question I certainly would have. And
I think Mark Emmert would have the same question.
One way or another, there's going to be name, image, likeness legislation.
Yeah, it already is.
It already is.
In 19 states.
Yes. Yeah. So one way or another, nationally, this is going to happen. Because as Andy Katz pointed out, I think the last time he came on, which, Andy, come back on the show.
Please, Andy. Please.
He's out there playing
tennis, with his AI sleeve.
As Andy pointed out, the schools that are in states that don't have name, image, likeness are going to lose their mind if this passes, and they're gonna go nuts. So something's gonna have to be done.
Well, it's like the competitive recruiting advantage. I mean, that's really what the underlying part of all this is, right?
So the game will change. Everything will be different. And I guess at this point, Mark Emmert is just put in a situation where he's trying to just preserve as much of the old system as he possibly can. He's on a sinking ship. There's a bunch of holes in the ship, and he's only got so many fingers to plug the holes, and he's just going around trying to keep the ship up. Is that a good analogy?
And the Board of Governors are just looking at him laughing as
I just picture Mark Emmert in like a rowboat in a old timey cartoon.
Oh no!
Don't And he plugs that one,
Yes.
and then another one shoots up.
It's like an old Buster Keaton short.
Do we need to suss out the intricacies of it? Because I think in the macro picture is that this is going to happen. This is we are stepping into a new world of college sports, and whether it's better or not better, I don't know. But it has to be done. I think that's the thing. It has to be done.
It's inevitable.
Whether this like makes whether we look up in 5 years and we're like, man, college basketball is more fun than it was, or it's like, wow, this is a disaster because you have a team where, say like I don't know, Indiana comes to mind. Trace Jackson Davis, he's making like $600,000 from Ken Nunn Law Firm.
Yeah.
You know, and they're paying him to do commercials there in Bloomington. And then you got like Trey Galloway, who like nobody wants to give any money to. And he's driving his hand-me-down beater into practice, and
he's got no snacks.
No snacks. And Trace Jackson Davis is pulling a Ferrari in, and like all of a sudden you look up and like college basketball is like very bizarre, where like locker rooms are splintering because guys are rich as hell and other guys are like going and getting swipes.
It's like a caste system.
Yeah, and it's like it's a disaster. Maybe that could happen. I don't know. The point is, this has to be done. Like whether that is what it becomes, or whether it's like we look up in 5 or 10 years, we're like, yeah, in the end, that's kind of didn't matter. It's the exact same sport, it's the exact same thing, and now guys are just making a little money on the side. I don't know where we're gonna land, Tate, but I know
think we're gonna land on the latter of what you said.
Yeah, I think so too. But either way, this has to be done. There's no two ways about that.
I think doing a Michael Jordan Nissan ad while you play at the University of North Carolina is probably as far as we get into this weird weed of, you know, this new college basketball where you're just kind of like, what? But then at the same time, if you can sell your jersey, if you can, you know, sign autographs and make money after an event, and it's all like we talked about, you're going to have someone to be like a broker, an agent.
You're gonna have guys signing with agents.
Yeah, like
but they're gonna try to like not let guys sign with agents,
because
probably.
Especially not agents that are like NBA
types.
But then also you would want them to be with them because then it starts that relationship, and also you're gonna have.
You would much rather than be with NBA guys than like someone's shady uncle. So like let them go with the NBA guys. But then if you do that, like the waters are muddier. And
you don't want a PJ Harrison with Fats Thomas situation where you're just like, I guess he's supposed to be with him.
Yeah, like Fats is my agent. You're like, that guy is your agent? He's like, yeah. No, you're right. And I think the other issue that coaches may or may not bring up, or people will, a potential downside would be these extracurriculars, if you will, which is funny because basketball is literally an extracurricular activity for sport. But,
I've also seen a lot of people talking about Olympic sports, you know, like how basketball is an Olympic sport.
yeah, that is true.
I just want to point that out.
That is true.
I see a lot of people saying, like, what about the Olympic sports? Like, yeah, basketball
Larry
is
Scott
included.
takes over as Pac-12 commissioner. He's like, we're going to be great at Olympic sports. And everyone's like, God damn it, Larry, basketball is an Olympic sport.
Please. DeAndre Ayton.
We don't care about tennis. Tennis isn't even an Olympic sport, is it? For God's sakes.
I mean, seriously.
What was I say? Oh, one thing that might be an issue. I don't know if it's an issue, but is going to be something that I foresee happening. And it'll be great content. It'll be great fodder. I could see coaches losing their mind over it. Is like guys. I don't know. This is probably an extreme, but guys show up to practice late because they were shooting a car dealership commercial.
Yeah.
Or like that becomes like the guys are looking around like, all right, the schools aren't going to pay me, because I do think Mark Emmert is going to be successful in that pursuit. That to keep these guys as non-employees from the schools.
Yes, they will not have like a tenured situation with.
I should say I agree with that. I don't think college athletes should be considered employees. I think at that point what you have created is professional sports, and that sounds great for the players and players' rights. And if you're a proponent of players' rights, it's what you want. But that really would sink the entire enterprise.
Now we're competing with the NBA. Yeah.
Now you're directly competing with the NBA.
Yep.
So I don't think that's going to happen. But they will allow guys to make money on the side, and what could be interesting to me is that these players look up after they've been on campus for 7 months, and they're like, now hang on a second, I play at Michigan State. Tom Izzo has me practicing 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
He has paid me $0. I understand that he's telling me the scholarship is worth a lot of money and that this is a great institution. Who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
if I go show up at this place, this car dealership for 2 hours, I get paid $10,000.
So now all of a sudden the car dealership's saying, we booked this production company to come shoot a commercial at this time. Tom Izzo's telling me he wants me at practice. I have to decide, I'm gonna go to the car dealership.
And everyone is.
Yeah, everyone is.
And so like that understood level, it does put college coaches in the NBA coach sort of lane, which is I am your coach to a certain extent, right? Like NBA coaches know that. They're like, I can coach you to a certain moment.
But I'm no longer. What it is removing is for forever. College coaches have not just been your coach; they've been like the father figure. They've been the mentor. They've been like, I tell you every time you fart on this campus, it's because I told you to.
You're allowed
for 4 years. Yeah, I will give you permission to do that. That's going out. They're going to have to carve a large part of that out and say like, all right, you're free to do what you want. And I think some of the pushback is going to be that. I mean, the example I gave out, I just threw out is very extreme. Like, I don't think.
Yes,
that is. I don't think that's going to be an epidemic where guys are not showing up for practice. I'm just, throwing out fun hypotheticals here.
Well, that's also why we've had coaches, right? Or at least when Roy Williams retired, there was a lot of people that said it may be the game with all the changes that are coming. He wants to get out of it. Coach K, this is his final year. Does he want to get out of it? And it does make a lot of sense because Coach K will tell you when you can fart, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is Coach K. Like, I hate to tell you, if you're at home, you think Coach K hugs these kids and he tucks them in at night and tells them he loves them. That's the opposite of who he actually is, right?
Yeah.
He tells them what they do.
Yeah.
And that ethos, that caricature, that whatever you want to call it, that may not work in this new world of free enterprise capitalism. So that's going to be happening.
Yeah.
Because when Coach K says that and you say no, it used to be, you're putting on Timberland boots and you're running, Cameron Indoor for the night by yourself in the dark. That's what the night looked like. But if you got to go show up to a club in Raleigh, you know what I mean? You're not going to be running bleachers for Coach K. So like that is where I find it fascinating. That's why if you're a
showing up at club, dude, I didn't even think about that. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Club appearances.
Of course. Of course.
Dude, can you imagine?
It's gonna be crazy. I do think that there's going to be at the start of it. There's going to be a lot of just throwing shit at the wall. You know what I mean? And then I think it's gonna taper off and get to more of a consistent level. But you're also gonna have the people that are boosters are surrounding some of these programs, like a Sport Durst, for example, in North Carolina. I mean, he's a car dealer. He's like a caricature himself. So like, he's got his own. Like he might be mentoring these like. You're just you're adding into a lot of characters.
I think this is the point, and if I'm devil's advocate and I'm trying to defend the status quo and whatever else, and again I say this is necessary. This must be done. Like so, I'm not saying
we're talking about hypotheticals.
I do believe that there will be a lot of cautionary tales early. That come out of this out of the gate, like you said, it didn't even cross my mind about like strip club promotions. Yeah, and that's why like Emmer and the powers that be. I mean, obviously the cynical take on this is that they're trying to keep the system so they can keep as much money and not pay the players,
which is true.
Which is definitely true.
You know what I mean?
But then even when that part gets broken down and they're like, all right, fine, we'll do the thing, but we want to have conditions. Part of it is because of that. I think like that is their nightmare. That is when you're thinking of these hypotheticals. What I brought up about like guys missing practice because they're shooting commercials, guys being paid fees to go make appearances at strip clubs. Which like, if it is a free capitalist enterprise system here where you're like free to do whatever you want. Outside of your basketball team. Guys will do that. There will be at least one player that does that.
PJ Harrison would have done that. That's all I wanted to do.
PJ Harrison's coming back to school to do that.
I would say he was about 7 years too late. He was right on time.
And that is, in the eyes of the people that run higher education, that is an absolute nightmare. In the eyes of you and I, it's like, whatever. And I think, like, this is why it's necessary, though, is that even if that happens, it's not, I don't think it's your place as Mark Emmert, as athletic directors, as coaches, to stop it from I think at a certain point, you have to give agency to the players. And if they want to go down that route and ultimately, I mean, not doing one appearance at a strip club is going to ruin your life, but if like you want to make bad decisions for your brand, like, because if guys do, if that's what you do in college with your free time is you're making strip club appearances and making money on the side, I would like to think that the NBA scouts are going to probably not love that.
No,
so, like,
they're writing down shades of Lou Will.
Yeah. So like, it's probably going to come back to bite you. But if you want to do that, you should have the freedom to do that.
Exactly.
And let that happen. But I do think some of those growing pains or some of these cautionary tales are going to happen early and often, and we'll be here every step of the way to talk about this.
And I was going to say, as far as a content aspect of this, I mean, there could be a chance that we have a kid that, let's say, for the car dealership example, he chose the dealership, and then the coach chose not to start him the next game.
Yeah.
And then you have fans that are losing their minds.
Because the coach has an agreement with the competing car dealers.
Yeah, it's like, you went to the wrong one. That's my guy. So like that could be conversation. You know what I mean? That will be. You talked about fodder. I mean, you and I. This is going to be a field day because there is going to be so many growing pains, and there's going to be so much of a. It all depends how this all gets marked up, because the NCAA is going to try to write in every single detail of what can't be done.
There's no players union. The NBA has a players union where they negotiate that stuff where like you can or cannot.
Yes.
And now
there
is no players union.
The players that are doing
sports.
the deals need actual representation of real agents, which they are banned from talking to under the current rules.
This is so stupid.
You know what I mean? Like they lose their eligibility by talking to these guys that they now need to negotiate these deals. Like it's all ridiculous.
It's gonna be so fun.
It's so stupid. I mean, it really is. Like that's why the committee meeting itself and Mark Emmert sitting there. One of the, I can't remember the senator's name, but she was running through. She's like, "You guys make billions of dollars, and you guys don't have any infrastructure here." And he's just like, "No,
not really.
Nah, and not looking to build any. Actually, if it were up to us, I don't know why we're here." That was pretty much his stance.
It's worked pretty well for us this entire time. So why would we change?
Yeah,
anything?
excuse me,
ma'am.
What?
Number one, how dare you?
Yeah, that's pretty much the reaction from Mark Emmert and the Board of Governors by proxy.
Dude, my mind is just going to like Joey Brunk tweeted out links to fleshlights.
I mean, dude, cameos, cameo.
This.
That's going to be a huge thing. People before a rivalry game, North Carolina fans paying, Cam John or whoever, or paying some current player to say something bad about the Duke player, and then that being a cameo, and then it going out. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things.
It's gonna be
There's so many things.
We should do that, by the way.
I know, it's a good idea.
We should book college players.
It's a good idea. I Googled the NCAA Board of Governors, and no, they won't tell me who they are.
We should book all the Duke players. Like, that should be
Joey Baker.
I still think that's a great idea, is for your dad to. I guess the time is up now because guys are gonna be able to make money, but your dad to infiltrate Duke and just like find ways to pay players.
Yeah.
Pay all the Duke players.
Yeah.
And then. But now that game's up,
Or just come out publicly and say you did. You know what I mean?
I've been paying.
You know the game plan. You're like, I've been buying houses in Trayburn for the past 15 years for Duke players. Hey there! Thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.